Hello and welcome to Kilted Swede. What strange or odd or weird things have I observed about Swedish culture, Swedish people, or just Sweden in general? These are all questions I've been asked quite a lot over the years, and it's something I understand much better now after living here for so many years. I get it now, because you really have to have lived it, experienced it, to understand it fully. It's not something that comes overnight. It takes years. Coming from Scotland, where we tend to be quite social, outgoing, friendly, we speak to our neighbours, for example. Don't do that in Sweden, do you? No. This was something I found very difficult to adjust to. So this is the first example. In Sweden, you don't speak to your neighbours. So I moved over here, and even before I could speak Swedish, I said hello to people, especially my neighbours, because I saw them. The same people, the same faces, you pass them. Maybe not every day, but regularly enough to recognise them and to know that that's my neighbour. Hello. Some of them said hi. Granted, far fewer of them said hi when I spoke in English than they do now when I speak Swedish. And that's a hurdle in itself. But a lot of them didn't even look at me. They did everything they could to not look at me, to pretend I didn't exist, and to use a Scottish slang word, to dinghy me. Now, dinghy, not the rubber boat, but if you dinghy someone, it's not just ignoring, it's like full-on blatantly ignoring, doing everything you possibly can to blank a person. Here's an example. I would hold open a door. Swedes would walk past. Some of them would say thank you, but some of them would not. That irked me somewhat. It annoyed me. It irritated me. It went against the grain. You don't do that. Someone holds a door open for you, you say thank you. And they walked past me and just dinghied me. Well, I felt like growling, didn't I? But I didn't. I just said, you're welcome. And later when I learned Swedish, I said, varsågod. I got told by Swedes later that you really shouldn't do that here because you're just going to make people think you're very weird and make them not want to talk to you at all. So I have stopped doing that. But I still find it amusing talking about it. And I have grown as a person because I moved away from that. Pat on the back for me. So I have adapted. I can take that rejection now. I can handle it. I understand. I can let it go. Let it go. And generally speaking, it is quite easy to read when someone, at least in terms of Swedes, when someone doesn't really want to talk to you, or someone definitely doesn't want to talk to you. And then the others that maybe want to say hello, but nothing more. And the few, thankfully, who do exist, that are more than happy to have a conversation with you. So there are a few different nuances in there and everything in between. And being able to understand those differences is, of course, very important and will get you far in Sweden. So yeah, don't talk to your neighbours, but maybe some of them. Moving on to the second thing I noticed, very closely related to the first, it is a hälsning, a way of saying hello, a greeting. Hey, hey. Not just hey, but hey, hey. Because if you say hey, that could be the beginning of a conversation. It could be the beginning of just saying, how you doing? How's your day? Not seen you in a while. How's it going? There generally is a follow-up, or at least it leaves it open for a follow-up, potentially. But on the other hand, if you only say, hey, hey, from the beginning, that automatically locks the conversation. It stops it dead in its tracks because it says, I am saying hello to you, but I do not wish to have a conversation with you. I am merely greeting you and showing that I acknowledge your existence as a fellow human being, and I fully expect the same in return. And it more often than not comes in the form of exactly the same. Hey, hey. It's a very effective and efficient greeting, and I do like that. Especially, I didn't realise at first, but when I learned of the effectiveness of this subtle yet polite greeting, of explaining to the other person that no conversation is necessary or will be initiated. This is just a greeting and no more. It is an unwritten rule. Or maybe it's written in stone somewhere. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Moving swiftly along to the third thing then. That was a mouthful. Social distance. Physical, personal space. Spatial awareness. Stay away. The pandemic was very easy in Sweden because everyone keeps that distance normally, or even more so. So the whole, staying an arm's length away from everybody, or an arm and a half, or whatever it was, no problem. Because that's normal here. Took me a bit of adjusting, however, because where I come from, you can stand shoulder to shoulder with a stranger in most circumstances without it being awkward. I'm not talking about going up to a random on the street when it's only you two there and just standing shoulder to shoulder and be, how you doing? Because that's weird. You don't do that. But if you're in a queue or waiting at a pedestrian crossing to go over the road, or a bus stop, for example, these sort of places where you generally are closer to other people, being shoulder to shoulder, generally not a problem. But it is in Sweden. Keep your distance. Today I experienced an example of this. I was at a pedestrian crossing about to go over the road. Two people got there before me and left just enough space between them for me, but not quite. So it involved me having to, it was quite a narrow, because there's a pedestrian crossing and then another side for cyclists, and there's poles in the middle, so there wasn't that much space in between for our half, for the pedestrians, and they'd positioned themselves right in the middle of the two poles, so I was left with the option of standing in between them, because they were a little bit closer to the poles than they were to each other, so that was where I had to stand. But they were quite far away from the curb. So I had to stand sort of at an angle behind them, and then I found myself in the bike lane. And I don't want to get hit by the bikes, and it's quite a well-trafficked bike lane, so they come at some speed there. Especially these individuals on the electric scooters, Whoosh! Anyway, I got as close as I dared, and I knew that I'd crossed the red zone. I'd gone over the threshold of acceptable Swedish personal space. But my safety is more important than your zone. And I noticed that both people got instantly uncomfortable with my proximity. I'm not saying they were doing this, it's an exaggeration, but the energy you get, it's like the whole body starts writhing in discomfort and get away from me vibes, just oozing off like a vapor of discomfort from both of them. So I was engulfed in a cloud of get away from me, but I couldn't. And I have to admit, I did find it slightly amusing, even though I get it now that you don't do that. But I stand for it, because what's the alternative? Standing back there and getting hit by a bike? No thanks. Anyway, thankfully the light went green pretty quickly and we all went over. And I walked much faster than them, which was even more awkward, because then I had to walk between them and overtake them. They'll get over it. So the fourth one then is something that I wouldn't necessarily say this is a big thing, but it's something you'll hear quite often, which is Skota själv, strunta andra. I have made that a bit more politically correct for the sake of this video, and it means look out for number one, put yourself first, and never mind everyone else. And in principle, I have a hard time with that, because on the surface it's walk all over everybody else like they don't even matter. Don't even think about it. Just take care of yourself. But it's a bit double-sided, because on one hand, it is actually good, because you have to make sure that you're okay and look out for yourself to do well in life, to to be happy, to feel good, att må bra. But on the other side, you can't just carry on regardless of other people and their feelings and emotions, because you're going to hurt people, you're going to offend people, you're going to rub people up the wrong way. There's always compromise, there's always give and take. But the point is, I do have a bit of a hard time with the whole sköta själv och strunta i andra. So take care of yourself and ignore everyone else. But at the same time, I can understand its merits. It does have some positives. But in the beginning, I found it completely alien as a concept, and I found it very hard to accept and to understand, especially when people actually said it as a mantra, words to live by. And I didn't buy it at all. But now I kind of get it, because I guess you could say it's more like a guideline. And that brings me nicely along to the last one on this list, Jantelagen. I have covered this in another video, but it was more just looking at the actual concept of Jantelagen, where you shouldn't have too high an opinion of yourself and you should just go with the flow, don't make too much noise, go about your business, just be decent. But the idea of Jantelagen as something that all Swedes adhere to, something that is natural and inherent to Swedish culture, is, well, it's not really true, is it? Because you can't be like that all the time. You're going to slip up. But something I've noticed is it's something that you can sort of joke about, or you can say Jantelagen to remind people to maybe let things go, or it's almost like it's a way of calming people down, of making them see the bigger picture of, it doesn't really matter, it's not a big deal. Who am I at the end of the day? I'm not that important. Jantelagen, the law of Jante. Who was Jante? The founder of Sweden, perhaps? And where is this law written down? 'Tis unwritten, an unwritten rule. Or again, maybe it's written in stone somewhere. I don't know, I haven't seen it. But regardless, Jantelagen. Funny concept, because you do realise quite quickly that almost nobody adheres to it. Apart from when you remind them about it. Oh yeah, that unwritten rule that we're all supposed to adhere to and live by. Yeah, I do that. Everyone's allowed to slip up now and then, right? But don't forget, Jantelagen, words to live by. You heard it here, but certainly not for the first time, I hope. Bye for now.